strongly, loudly, resonate with so many survivors in whichever way it does for them. I grew up in a community where silence was the only way to survive. There was severe abuse happening in my family home that absolutely no one had any idea. If they looked very carefully, possibly there were signs, but it was really, really kept so closed down and hidden, and there was no possibility, opportunity to speak out. There was not even a knowledge that I was living in silence. The only understanding I had of silence is when I actually came out of that silence and started speaking. I understood the silence I was in. When I first heard about National Survivors Day 2 years ago, even though I had been advocating and speaking publicly and campaigning for justice, I never quite felt validated as a survivor. I felt like I had a mission and I was doing something to bring the abuser back, to get justice of that person which I was denied, and that's a different journey. But National Survivors Day, suddenly I felt I could publicly say I am a survivor. And it was very strange, and I spoke to my sisters and I said, I'm a survivor now then. She's like, you can't say that because you've already been speaking loudly for the campaign and people are going to say you really are a survivor, like you know that. And I said, no, but I actually feel it. There is a day that I'm allowed to be just a survivor, not only an advocate, not only someone fighting for justice, but today I can say I have survived years and years of abuse, and not only that, I'm starting to break the silence. That was the first year. Last year was the second year, and I felt stronger, and I was able to speak in government, and I was able to start sharing. This year being the third, I finally feel like I have broken the silence, and I'll say that simply by, I still am living in a community that has a lot of silence, and my children are growing up in that community. I'm teaching my children not to have that silence and to speak up, and hopefully that message is spreading to their teachers, and when I speak to them when things happen, and when I ask them to be accountable for things that happen that they don't know. But I still am living in a community where silence is the only way to survive. And I have slowly started sharing more on my personal socials like WhatsApp, which is weird, but that's where community people will see my stuff. And I'm slowly starting to get voices. I had a student who I haven't spoken to in 15 years reach out to me from overseas and say she was abused by a community member. She didn't tell me who it was, but she had never disclosed that. And I had taught her, and she felt comfortable after seeing things I post on my community private phone call WhatsApp group, that she could share that with me. And I realized that National Survivors Day gives me and many other survivors an opportunity to say I'm a survivor, not need to say anything more, but then that can help others break their silence in their own way. And that's what I hope, that the message, silence to strength, you can still be silent and strong, or your silence and breaking that silence can help others break the silence in their own way and feel stronger within themselves. It doesn't have to be loud, doesn't have to be public, but in their own strength to say, I'm a survivor, and today is the day that I can be recognized for that.